What is going on, Champion Squad? It is your boy Sultan. Welcome faces back to another Apex Legends video. Today I'll be showing you how to win more 1v3 gunfights. Thank you for joining me, and let's get into the video. Taking on a whole squad yourself can be pretty overwhelming, but knowing how to take the approach and learning some key ideas will help make 1v3 gunfights more manageable. So today I'll be going over some tips on how to solo squads and some step-by-step 1v3 fight breakdowns, so be sure to stick around. If you're new here, subscribe, join the Champion Squad. Here you find some of the best Apex tips and tricks to make you an even better player. Now let's get into some solid tips to help solo squads. So you clicked on this video because you want to win more 1v3 gunfights. Whether we're talking about 1v1s, 1v2s, or 1v3 gunfights, they all have some common tendencies to be able to find yourself on top of the situation. With that said, let's get into the first tip I have, which is passive-aggressive fighting. When you find yourself in a 1v3 situation, you have to play your game and let the enemies be the ones to make the mistake. Running straight into a full 3-stack is suicide 9 times out of 10. But keeping your playstyle a little more passive and aggressive when needed is how you can successfully win more 1v3 gunfights. So when you're playing solo, instead of trying to ego a whole team and standing your ground, try fighting at a more passive pace until you can find an opening. Basically, when you encounter a full team, it's okay to send some shots at a distance, but if you can't quite manage to get a knock in that period of time, you must reposition yourself farther away from the enemy team. Now I say this because once a team knows your positioning and they realize that you're solo, they will try and full send your location all at once. But constantly having a backwards fight will give you easier opportunities to catch them while chasing you. This is also heavily based on the legend that you're using. For example, when using Pathfinder, you can involve yourself into closer situations since you have your grapple for an immediate escape. This is what makes Pathfinder arguably the easiest legends to have the ability to 1v3 gunfights. But when we're talking about other legends that can't escape as easily, you must play a more passive fight until you can find an opportunity for a knock. Now before I get into the first 1v3 breakdown example, I want to cover the second tip that goes hand in hand with playing passive aggressive, which is abusing nearby cover. While playing more passive and letting the enemies come to you, it's always important to know what kind of cover you have to your expense. So common objects like vehicles or walls that give you the opportunity to shoulder peek can work wonders when trying to 1v3. On top of shoulder peeking, finding a place where you can head peek is obviously much more beneficial. Head peeking is where you can fire over an object while only exposing your head. Yes, this can make you more vulnerable for headshots. However, if you start landing shots on the enemy, it will cause them to flinch, making it much harder for them to land shots on you. You should always try and avoid a wide open field gunfight when trying to solo squads at all costs. So again, playing more passive and using cover such as buildings is key on getting that first knock. And if you seem to be getting ate by the whole team, try and reposition farther away to the next possible use of cover. So with the first two tips mentioned, let's get into the first example of a successful 1v3 gunfight situation. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hopping into the first 1v3 breakdown situation I was placed in. Now my team was alive, but they were on another part of the map, so I was essentially by myself in Cap City. Ended up finding a whole team, and I sent some shots at the first Pathfinder, hit him for 72. He has purple shield, not too much damage. I don't get the knock, but I still keep abusing cover, playing in their face a little bit, just so I can feel them out and test up their shot. End up cracking one with the blue shield there, but again, no knock. I'm still abusing cover, and this is when they start to get super aggressive on me. I see a lot of them, probably all 3 of them were chasing me, so I ended up backing up here, phasing out for a perfect opportunity to get in the house without being shot. And this is what I mean about abusing cover and taking advantage of what you can use to cover as your expense. So the building behind me, I knew it was behind me. Taking a random layer. I love these buildings that have multiple layers because it's very hard to keep track of, well, the enemies to keep track of where you are. So taking that random layer and working it from there. I also love this building because you can hear zip lines too when they're taking it. So I heard a Path taking it. He gets hit for 89 with a quick PK shot, but nothing, serious in terms of damage. So I climb up a layer, see if I can solo one out. And just playing my game right now. Notice I'm not really chasing them too aggressively. I'm letting them come to me. They can be the ones to make the mistakes so I can get the first shots on them. And that's where they actually saw me, so they know what layer I'm on. This is where they start to try and ape me. Now I have the Wraith pushing me first. Gunfight favor is still on my side. Still on my side. But the key idea here is seeing that second player on the same level. As soon as my shields are cracked and there's 2 people on that layer, that's when it's a bad situation. You must bail that. So I managed to get a quick knock there, but I can hear them rezzing. I'm super low on health. This is where I just decide to full heal and take another approach at it. And I'm assuming that all 3 of them are on the same layer right now, just playing it as a team. Now they start to scatter a little bit more, trying to find me because I was crouching around. They really didn't know where I was. End up finding a path. He comes to my lair. He gets cracked, but he bails away. And then the other one comes from behind. He gets cracked, and that's when I get that first knock, which is crucial. Now, Pathfinder re-challenges me, but was a bad play on his part because he never healed. He was probably just trying to help out his teammate. So he gets down, and that's 2 people down in the team. Now it's a one-on-one gunfight situation. I drop all the way down, take a bat, and I don't full heal. And the reason I don't full heal is because then he can probably res both of their teammates if I wait too long to reapproach that last person. So that's when I get more aggressive and push the Watson in a 1v1 gunfight so I can prevent them rezzing. Now, if you look at my light ammo, I'm extremely low on it. And this is where I decide to just fully commit to that 1v1 gunfight. Take on my PK. She's trapped in a corner. And flick away. Hit the shots, baby. And that's a nice 1v3 clutch situation there. So some key things to point out in that gunfight is that notice how I'm playing a little more passive. I'm not all up in their face. Only when the gunfight favors my side is when I start to be the aggressor in this situation. So from the start to that gunfight, I was playing a backing fight. I was backing up, tagging shots, backing up, tagging shots, then entering the building. So they won't have much information on you, and then you can find that one-on-one gunfight, which is key to getting that first knock, and then putting you in a definitely easier situation when it's a 1v2 gunfight. Alright, legends, so now let's move on to the next set of tips I have before going over another 1v3 breakdown. The first one being that the opening exchange is crucial. Getting a quick knock in a 1v3 gunfight makes the whole situation much easier. When it comes to soloing squads, you want to try and single out the team one by one and turning the 1v3 gunfight into 3 separate 1v1s. Now, you've probably heard of that before in other videos, but what does that essentially mean? So when full committing into a 1v3 gunfight, you want to try and sneak your way in for a free knock. Crouching around when you've spotted an enemy team can help since your footsteps will be silent. On top of which, getting an opportunity to third party will also help wonders since they'll all be distracted. But the key idea here is making sure to land as many shots as possible for the first exchange while trying to take as little damage as possible. That's why I can't stress enough about changing your positioning if they have information on where you are. You can give yourself a better opportunity for a one-on-one gunfight by relocating to get your first knock. After getting your first knock, depending on the situation and how much damage was dealt, you can either distance yourself a little more or go for a quick thirst and shield swap the downed enemy. Now, if you don't thirst, you do have the benefit of playing off of the knock player since they will most likely go for a revive, in which you can then spam nade to deal some damage or just focus fire to shield crack the player trying to revive. Alright, champion squad, now let's get into the next step I have, which is using movement to avoid shots. Having good in-game movement is what can easily save you when your tacticals or abilities are inactive. Now, I have a few videos made on improving your movement, so I'll leave the link down in the description. But the technique I want to focus on for today's video is left to right running. Now, I usually tend to do this is when the enemy is the first one to start firing at you. Instead of trying to fire back immediately, my initial response is to keep a left to right running tempo to have them not hit as many shots on me. After a few seconds of doing this, the enemy will most likely have to reload or weapon swap, so it gives them that ghost time. That's when I start to unload my shots and get the better of the exchange for that situation. This method can work in a lot of situations, and for the next 1v3 breakdown, there will be a clear example of doing this method. So again, make sure to focus on the opening exchange of the 1v3 gunfight and try to over time improve your movement to help avoid shots. So with the next 2 tips mentioned, let's get into the second example of a successful 1v3 gunfight situation. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to the second 1v3 fight breakdown. This one is towards more of the end circle here. We only have 5 squads left. Ended up finding a solo Pathfinder. He gets eliminated pretty quickly. And that's when I encounter the full stack of 3. And I start getting aped right off the bat. Pathfinder sets he makes a zip line to aggressively hunt me down. He knows I'm solo. So I portal out to create some distance. And even after that portal, I decide to run back even farther. So it's safe for me to get that full heal off, get that battery off. But I'm in the open, which is a bad thing. So I play a little corner here and crouch and wait till they round the corner on me. When you're placed in a situation like this, the best thing you can do, and it's a tough situation, don't get me wrong, but the best thing you can do is try and solo out one player to knock right away. For my case, it was the Wraith. R99 clipped her, cracked her for 100 plus damage, and then finished her off with the Wingman. And luckily with the Wingman, I was able to hit a little bit of more shots on the Pathfinder, making him weak. Then I was obviously able to use my movement to knock the Path. He was pretty low on health. And that's when the third teammate comes in though with the Peacekeeper. Left to right running. And you can see how I avoid at least 2 to 3 Peacekeeper shots so they don't fit full damage. And I think one of the shots didn't even hit me at all, which is a bonus. So keeping that left to right running tempo, especially if they have a PK or a single fire weapon like that, it's going to be very hard to hit you. So this 1v3 situation gets a bit hectic because Pathfinder self-reses and he grapples behind me. Now I'm a little bit sandwiched here. So I focus on singling out the Pathfinder first. End up cleaning him up. So after knocking the Path, I go back to the smoke action because I know for a fact that he's going to get the res off, especially if he smoked out the area. So the main goal after that is focusing on the Wraith that was resed because she's not going to be full health. So I was able to kill her for about 84 damage, nothing crazy. And the Bang, which is the third one on the team, starts trying to full send me. I have that rockets covered to shoulder peek and ended up one magging her to finish off the gunfight. Now that 1v3 was, again, a little bit extended, and that's how you really got to take these 1v3 approaches. It's not going to be super easy where you can eliminate all 3 in the cleanest, most perfect fashion. Sometimes you can do that if you're playing absolute bots, but most of the time, like I said, if you're playing decent people, you got to take that slower and more passive approach. Obviously, it's pretty intimidating at first, fighting 3 people at once. Getting that first knock, crucial. If you get the second knock right away, in this case, I did, the third person, he's a little bit more nervous. Oh crap, that one person eliminated 2 of my teammates. What am I going to do? Most times they actually try to go for the res. They don't really push you. And then that's when things can go into your favor because you relieve most of the pressure. They're not going to be playing as aggressive, and then you can take advantage of that. Hopefully you guys learned a thing or two about successfully winning more 1v3 gunfights, and if you happen to enjoy today's video, be sure to show some love to the like button. It's always appreciated. Also, don't forget to subscribe, join the champion squad. We're on the road to 40,000 subscribers. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and as always, this has been your boy Sultan, and I'm signing off. Peace.